my mic is connected from my headphones. So if it catches live or the replay, well, replay won't matter. But if it's live, let me know and I can fix that. So it is, what time is it? Like 9:30 at night, and I've been wanting to film something for you. And I was like, no what? I really want to do a live. And I guess I've kind of been putting it off, which is beautiful because I've been in my head about this and just about what I want to film for you this week. And I was going to say I have my chamomile tea, but I realize it's pretty much done. And that is the topic of today. And I shouldn't say I think I know that I was putting this live off and now it's 9:30 and I'm about to head to bed, which I'm usually wearing blue blocking glasses, which I'm not. So that's interesting. I was putting it off in my head because I didn't know how I wanted to talk about this, because I've talked about what I'm going to share with you before, but it can be a concept that is hard to grasp on how it makes sense in my mind. So I've broken it down for you. I hope it makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments if you're watching live or the replay. But how to get out of your head on cue, like on demand, if you have ADHD, this is how I've done it. And so I can get done what I intend to do every day. And I feel accomplished at the end of the day. Like the day ends and I don't feel like it just flew by. Like I actually remember moments. And even small moments like making my coffee, it doesn't feel like, oh, I guess I made my coffee, but that doesn't matter or doesn't count. I fully feel like, oh, I made coffee and that was just so memorable and felt so good. And I don't feel accomplished by that, but like it just sits really well in my heart at the end of the day. And like how would that feel? I'm just gonna ask you, like if you ended your day and you're like and you just remember like all those moments of your day, getting up, maybe getting your kids ready, having a little morning walk with your dog, making coffee, going to work, and you're like remembering all those things and you feel like proud of it. And you go to work, you're like, oh my God, I worked it, I did that. Oh, amazing. I'm so proud of myself for that. And I did that and that got completed and it feels so good. Like you end your day, maybe you're watching TV, you're like, but this is just feeding my soul as well. Like how would that feel? Like what would that be worth to you if that was your reality? Right? And I know I haven't quite introed out what I all want to share with you today, but like, why aren't you deserving of having that life? Because it's so available to you. And I only started to experience that really this year in 2023. So when you haven't experienced that or don't experience it often, it feels like it's not possible. But know that I was in that place of like never remembering my days, not feeling accomplished in the days, never getting anything done, to the complete opposite of what I just described. So it's possible for me, and I've shown my clients, and they have had that too, then it's possible for you. I just want you to know that. So, how to get it out of your head on cue with ADHD. So get done what you intend to do. I have notes, so I stay on track with you. I just want to talk about like what that means, getting out of your head. Then how that works, how it works to get out of our head. So, you can get done what you intend to do and have focus and that clarity, ways to do it. But then I'm going to go the big granddaddy way. This is like, if you walk away with anything, walk away with the last thing I'm going to tell you of like the real granddaddy of how to get out of your head and on cue at any time. Sorry, I got hair in my ear. It's awkward with headphones sometimes. And yeah, I'll give you some practical ways to do that. Let's do this. If you're watching live, maybe just drop a comment live. If you're watching the replay, drop a comment replay and any questions, put them in the comments and I will answer them for you or do another live to answer them. I haven't done many lives on YouTube, so let me know if you like this. I do a live weekly show. It's on summer break right now, but live weekly show, which is this style format. So if you're like digging this and you want more intimacy, as in a live Q&A where you can ask me questions on live, like on a Zoom, and I answer them live for you, a little mini coaching, let me know. I'll send you a link to get access to that live weekly show. It's completely free, but it's just private access, but it's free. Okay. Before I get carried away and get stuck in my head, the theme of the episode. What do I mean when stuck in your head. This is when, you probably know, but I'm going to describe how it feels for me. Ruminating on a thought. You're like, I can't break out of this thought. I can't break out of this thought. So I'm either maybe doom scrolling. I can't stop doom scrolling. My body will feel really tense. Like I can just feel like everything's squeezing. And it's like I'm breathing into my chest. Like I may not actually be, but I feel like everything's like up here. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And it feels like I'm going from thing to thing, but nothing feels fulfilling. Like I'll eat something, but it still feels like I need more sugar, I need more fat, like right, that type of food. Or I'm like bouncing from thing to thing, and I'm just like, okay, like let this be enough. Like just sit down, just relax. Or I'm making food, but it's like, oh, maybe I'll put this on my food, or maybe I'll put this. Like it's that really scattered, restless energy when I'm in my head. It's also where I can't focus. I'll literally sit at my computer and got my task list, got my calendar, and I was like, okay, but what do I do? It's just like this, like deer in headlights. I'm like, I know what to do, but what do I do? It's like, well, I shouldn't do that because that's important, but this is more important, and like this, and like the spiral. What else does it look like for me being in my head? Um, like taking maybe a vacation day, or a weekend, and you're like, I don't have to get anything done. But you're like, but I don't know what to do. Oh my God. And then I would end up doing nothing. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I wasted it. I should have did something that was fun. So that is me being stuck in my head. A lot of second guessing, a lot of being paralyzed, overwhelmed. Just can't focus, can't get my brain moving. So if that resonates, if that's you as well, just drop in the comments or give me a little hands up of like, oh, I feel that. Or I'd love to hear what it feels like for you. If you what being in your head feels like for you. Because it could be different for all of us. ADHD, I believe, is on the spectrum. Okay, so when we're in our heads, that means we're up here in our brain, in our ego, in our ADHD, and we're not in our bodies. So when I say getting out of your head, I mean dropping into your body. I won't talk too much about all of the nuances about dropping into your body, but I like to think of it as, a great example, like your mind-body connection. Like touch a hot burner, right? The signals goes from your hand to your brain and down, right? That connects. It's a very basic example, but think of like your there's a lot of good examples I can give. What do I want to me getting stuck in my head again? Um if you know much about gut health, let's go to gut health. So your gut makes up more than like your DNA in your body. And it sends signals to your brain, right? It even says if you eat lots, like, we're full, stop eating, great. But if you've ever like craved food, you're like, or certain foods turn you off. You're like, I love bread. Why don't I want to eat bread? It's like your body just knows what it needs. So there's a strong connection between body and mind. Oh, the example I was thinking of came to me. I was like, I know there's an example I really want to share with you. You're about to give a speech, and you're like super anxious in your belly, right? You're like, oh my God, the butterflies. Or sometimes you feel the butterflies. And you're like, I don't know why. You're like, oh, right. It's because that speech I have to give tomorrow. And forget it in a moment because your body knows. There's energy in your body. Everything in the world's made up of energy. That is real. Your brain is essentially like a really good computer system. It's a muscle. But your body is energy. It's different. So when we're in our head, our ego can really easily take over. That ADHD can really easily take over, right? If we have ADHD, which is in a brain, if we're in our head, that's taking over or can take over really easily versus dropping into our body. And you can even think of dropping into your heart, to your belly. You're like, oh, it's like a coming back home. Is my Google Home's going off? Can you hear it? It's telling me to go to bed and have a great sleep. Oh, I love Google. You're dropping into your body. Okay, that's what I mean by that. So how does it work to get out of your head? Actually, if you can even just close your eyes for a second. I know you've been out of your head before. So when is a time where you felt like calm, assured? You felt like this is trusting with yourself and with maybe whatever decision you made or what you wanted to do that day or in that moment. Just this beautiful sense of like, yeah, I'm grounded. I'm confident in this. I'm just like this inner knowing. That's you not being in your head, but in your body. You're like, ooh, yeah, I just know. Because you have this innate wisdom inside of you, inside of your body. It's like you even think of like leading from your heart, right? Lead from your heart versus your brain. Lead from your body versus your head. You know you're your own Google search engine. So that and knowing, if you've ever followed that, you can even think of like times you like had an intuitive, ping, intuitive hit. And you're like, ooh, that just worked out so well. I just knew. So think of a time of that and like, can you really start to feel that in your body now? Of like, oh yeah, I just felt really sure of myself and felt really calm. And maybe it lasted for a split second and then you started to second guess it, right? The brain took over. Or maybe you like were able to settle into that for a while and make a decision from there, and the decision, worked out beautifully, and it just reinforced that. Know that coming to that feeling, staying in that feeling, coming to your body, it's a practice. It takes repetition. You're building new trust with yourself when we run our lives from our brain. And I mean, obviously we use our brain, but not we don't want to run it by our ego and our ADHD. So you can open your eyes if you haven't already. But I just want you to remember that, because if you've been in that space, or if it just sounds familiar, like I can't remember exact example, but it sounds familiar, like I have been there, you can come back to it. We all can come back to that because we all have a body and we're all human and alive. So how to get out of your head? There are lots of different ways or things you can do to help you get out of your head into your body. And I sometimes combine them if when I'm doing it, I'm like, this isn't working. Okay, cool. Let's go pick another one from my toolkit and combine them. So I'm going to list some of them off, but what is the most powerful, the granddaddy of them all? What will allow you to get out of your head on cue? Kind of like, I'm in my head. I don't want to be here. Cool. Boom. Do this. You're like, in my body. That I'm going to share at the end. And again, these can all you can pair them together to help you help you do them if one isn't working for you. But how to get out of your head, I just posted this actually in a short on YouTube here, is to go outside. Go out in nature. That can literally just be, if you live in a condo, outside the front door or in your yard. It works for a variety of ways. The big one for me, obviously, you're getting out to nature. It's grounding. You're literally earthing to the earth, electromagnetic fields, grounding to the earth. You're also getting antioxidants from the earth. It's I'm sure you've heard a lot of the benefits of just being in nature. Relieves stress. It's very calming. It can help in your immunity. All of the things. Sorry, my face is itchy. Also, I love it because you're changing your scenery. Like if you're in your home and you're doom scrolling, you're like, I know I need to stop, but I can't stop. The best thing to break that cycle, if you're negative thought spirals, right? How to break the cycle? Change your environment. That changes your five senses, what they're picking up. Go to a different room, go into the bathroom. Water is great. Go have a shower, but going outside, you get the benefits of being outdoors as well. So I love that. Music, it is so good, especially for me, very potent, especially with headphones, because it just kind of blocks out everything else, like putting blinders on, and just hearing the music, hearing the vibrations, trying to really pick up all the sounds in the music. It's, yes, you can still be in your head, but when you're really focused on it, again, I love with headphones, it just brings you back to you, into your body. Belly breathing. Really just focusing hands on belly, breathing into your belly, or if you're identify as a woman, breathing into your womb. So I think your womb breath, or into your deep pelvis, your pelvis. Just deep pelvic floor and then pelvis. Anyways, breathe low into your belly. There we go. That can be a little bit harder just because you're I need to stop and breathe, but it helps. Closing your eyes can help too. Skin on skin contact, just touching your skin. If you have an animal, beautiful, lay them on your chest or your heart, your belly, or if you're with someone who's really calm and grounded, just skin to skin contact, that can help you just be come back to my body. A lot of these things are crossing over with nervous system regulation, if you're familiar with that. What's the other fun one? I mean, a meditation in any form, but a lot of these things are mindfulness practices, which is what a meditation essentially does. But like even a guided meditation, that can help get into your body. Going for a walk, that's kind of pairing outdoor. I like to have music on my walk, but just that repetitive motion of like moving my body. So with that movement, and it doesn't need to be a workout. It can be a workout. I find I get my like clearest ideas, the most focus, most direction from a workout. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get that when I'm just dancing for 5 minutes. Sometimes I get that more when I'm just dancing for 5 minutes because I'm so in tuned in my body and the movements, and I'm feeling my body move. I'm feeling the music versus being like, okay, I'm doing this exercise in the gym, then this exercise, right? A bit more brain involved. So movement, whatever that looks like for you. EFT tapping is a beautiful one. I also just recorded a very short video on that, which I'm gonna put up I think early next week. But just tapping on the acupressure points, because you're in your head because you're talking with it, but it just it can help regulate your nervous system, so you can drop into your body. So I do love that one too. So there's quite a few that can help you into your body. Just noticing your five senses. Like if you're making coffee, when I am in my head, I'm like, I'm just gonna look at the window and notice what's out the window and notice its colors, and like smell my coffee, and just take a moment of gratitude for my coffee, and really be with it, and that deep breath drops into my body. Sometimes it can be as simple as a word or mantra you tell yourself. For me, I say soften. When I say soften, I'm like, oh, or melt, I'm like, oh, just soften and melt. And that just all relaxes my body, so I'm not in that tense state. Now, all these things are beautiful. And if you've done some of them before and you're like, yeah, it didn't work, I was still in my head, then you're not alone. I have done that as well. Sometimes I'm like going for a walk outside with music, trying to breathe deeply, and I'm like, I'm still in my head. That's totally normal. Because if you notice all of those, I guess not all the things, but I like to label all those things as an external action. Like you're doing it. Like I'm going to go listen to music, right? I'm doing that. I'm going to go out for a walk. I'm doing that. I'm going to tap. I'm going to do it. And I like that because it can feel really easy. When we're so stuck in our head for most of our lives, we run our lives by doing things. I need to do more. What's the next thing I'm doing? I need to schedule this in. I need to accomplish things at the end of the day, right? So when I say go for a walk, you're like, okay, cool. Task doing. I like it. And that can feel really easy for us. However, we can still be very much in our head because we're looking to an external, sorry, bump the camera. We're looking to an external thing to find an internal sense of calm. Does that make sense? Like, it's like if I do this action, I hope to feel something in my body. I was going to use like a runner's high example where you go for a run. You're like, I'm going for a run to feel runner's high, but maybe you don't after. Oh, well, usually do. It's like biochem. But, not the best analogy. But does that make sense? If I do this, I hope to feel something. Here's a great example. It's like you go to a party or like a friend's birthday or whatever, dinner party or a rage or a party. I'm not judging. And you're like, I'm going to a party. I'm going to have fun. And you get there and you're like, ugh, and you leave. You're like, that was actually draining and it wasn't fun, right? You went to something expecting a result, but it doesn't always give you that result. You can't guarantee that because dun, 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 something I talk about often, the feeling you want can't be created outside of you. Let me say that again. Turn it up. Listen to this. Put it on repeat. The feeling you want or how you want to feel cannot be created outside of you. If you want to feel something or be in your body or embody something, it has to start within you. Our brains will tell us that, oh, if I go for a walk, I will feel this way. And yes, that can work, absolutely. But you could still be in your head. If we look outside of us to feel something, we'll always be chasing it. And that's why I talk with a lot of ADHDers. A lot of them become clients where they're like, I'm doing all the things. I'm exercising, eating well, I'm trying to get good sleep, I'm meditating daily, I'm doing maybe some rewiring work for my brain, I'm reading, I'm just reading. Like, I'm doing all of these things. Why is my life so chaotic? Why am I in my head all the time? Why do I end the day and nothing gets done and I don't feel accomplished? Why am I burning out all the time? Like, why? Because you're doing all the things as we should, in hopes it'll make us feel that sense of calm and groundedness and that ease and that assurance, that bliss. And it can, but we're hoping if I do this, if I do more, if I do all the things, it will create that. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I've tried for many years, and it was like burnout after burnout after burnout, and I still come up to that pattern of like, I always just laugh now when I say this in my head, so that's why I'm kind of laughing. Like, I'm doing all the things, why haven't I gotten the result? Oh, how that's been a pattern for my life, right? I'm doing all the things, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Why haven't I got the result? Like, think back to your life. Like, does that ring true for you? So I've like really like built this up to what I want to share. So I was just gonna dive in right with this the main way to get out of your head into your body, but I've just been building it up for 20 minutes because all of this is actually so freaking important for you to hear. Because it was for me and it changed, all this. Yeah. Yeah, it was my life. And what changed it was this is the way to start to create this within you. Because I can say, okay, feelings, create them within you. If you want to feel calm, start feeling calm. If you want to feel assured, start feeling assured. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't work that way. Not quite. But what I have found, and this like totally surprised me because I was always looking at it in a different way. So has anyone said like, go have fun, go find joy? And I do like the joy one, but I used to be like, cool, I'm gonna have fun every day. And I was like, okay, how can I have fun? I need to have fun. Let's do this. This is fun. And I did not have fun. Same with joy. I'm like, what would be joyful? Okay. It needs to be exciting and happy, right? It's like, what if I'm feeling sad and just like low key and like kind of like tired and I don't have a big joyous moment. I want to sit in my sorrow. So it's like I was always trying to use joy and fun to create those feelings. Doesn't work all the time. But what does work all the time? When you focus on this one thing all of the time. I literally have a reminder on my whiteboard in my kitchen to see it all the time. When you focus on this, you will always come back to your body. Always, even if it's just for a moment. But that moment breaks a pattern, and that moment is so powerful, and it builds up the trust, like the muscle, if you will, for you to come back to that again and again and again. And there was a period of time for me this year I've kind of fallen out, and this is why I'm sharing this with you because I'm getting back into it. I was doing this so often, like multiple times in the day, just coming back to this again and again and again, coming back to my body, that like life was easy. I did not have ADHD. Like, I did not resonate with it. I did not struggle with it. And there's lots of other things I did, but this was like, oh my God, I'm just not in my head anymore. And that thing is, man, I'm really building this up. Thank you for sticking with me. You're a champ. It's like the cliffhanger of a show. What if my phone died right now? Funny story, I've had that happen once on a video. It was like, and then my phone died. So, pleasure. How can you find pleasure? What would feel pleasurable? How can you lead from a place of pleasure? And pleasure can mean a lot of things. Whatever, it means to you is beautiful and perfect. And I want you to explore in what ways things can feel pleasurable, what else pleasure means to you. Because even just take a moment, close your eyes if this helps. Like, if you think of, how can I find pleasure today or in this moment, or what would feel pleasurable right now? Just start thinking, and even just thinking of those things. Does your body change? The sensations change? Do you feel a sense of calm? Like, if I think of pleasure, like I have a little soft, fleecy blanket right now. It's like, pleasurable. Oh my God, just like running my hands on my blanket. This is so like, oh, my face. It's so pleasurable, right? If you love sensory, it's like, this is so pleasurable and soothing. And watch, your brain goes quiet for a moment. Just like take that breath and you soften and you drop down into your belly. I mean, for me in the morning, when I drink my coffee and trying to find that moment of presence, I just think of like, let this be pleasurable. And maybe for me, I'm like, just like smell my coffee. I'm like, oh, so good. I'm putting on some really good music. I'm kind of like grooving to the music. I'm really feeling my body. Like I'm really feeling into the sensation of like pleasure of what that feels like for me. And in that moment, I'm no longer tense and rushing to like, make my toast and make my protein shake and go work out and feeling like I need to do all these things. I need to do this and this. And then I'm always late because I'm trying to do all the things versus taking that pause to find pleasure. It feels good. I remember that moment. I remember it when I go to bed at night. And I'm not rushing from thing to thing. I'm not scattered. I'm not, what's the word? I don't say, where you like stay at one task too long. You're like, this is done. Just let this be done. Like, move to the next thing. Like, just task switching. Like, that's not an issue anymore. When I lead my life from pleasure, which is really leading my life from my body, because pleasure, like when you thought of that, just that moment, brings you back to your body. And when you're in your body, you're not in your head. And imagine, like I said at the beginning, or asked you at the beginning, what would life be like where you weren't second guessing anymore? You're always sure of yourself. You have this sense of calm, groundedness. You're just like rooted, if that resonates. And everything's just really blissful, and you just always know, you're like, I'm going to do this now, and that's perfect. And then I'm going to do that, and that's going to be perfect. And then I'm not going to do anything, and that's going to feel so good. And at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I remember everything I did, and I'm so freaking proud of myself for it all. Like, wouldn't that feel amazing? And that all comes from pleasure. It comes from leading from your body and not falling to the traps of your ADHD and your ego, which is coming from your brain. So pleasure it's everything, because when I was looking at joy and fun, it's like, okay, but I need to be happy, right? Joyous. But pleasure, you can be sitting in sorrow, in pain, in emotional pain, and be like, there's pleasure in this. I mean, literally before this live, as I was like getting out of my own head, I just literally cried probably an hour. I was like, there's a lot of emotional stuff that just had to be released. And it's like, there's still so much pleasure in this. I'm feeling the sensations in my body. I'm letting them roll through me like waves, and I can find the pleasure in that. And that's a beautiful thing. And part of that is just being like cozy in my bedroom with my blankets, and I'm like, ooh, and music on. I'm like, this is so pleasurable. And I'll remember that. I feel accomplished by it. No, it feels really good. So even ask yourself now, how can I infuse pleasure into what I do in a day? Because that was the other big thing where if you're doing all the things, I'm like, okay, great. Now make sure you meditate for 30 minutes a day, not just 20 minutes a day. You're like, frick, I already have a mile-long to-do list. Like, I don't have more time to do more things to create this, like, calm and to get out of my head. But pleasure is something you infuse into everything you do, or as much as you want to do. Or it's, you do it for 2 minutes, infuse it into one little task just to come back to your body in that moment. It's a skill, it's a practice. But the more you do it, the more familiar it is and the easier it becomes. And then, of course, it's like any muscle. When you stop using it, you're like, oh, I gotta get you back into it, like what I have been the last couple of months. So we'll be pleasure accountability buddies together. You're welcome. But pleasure, actually, I want to ask you this because I asked myself this. Why are you denying yourself of pleasure? I now have put that on my whiteboard because I was avoiding pleasure to feel that. I was like, I don't have time. I'm so in my head, right? I don't have time. This is uncomfortable. I gotta, it's like breaking a pattern. It's dropping into your body. I got stuff to do. This is important. And I wrote down that and I'd read it. It's like, why am I denying myself pleasure? Like, straight up. And that is just like this reality hit of like, shit, I'm doing all these things because I feel I should. I feel this is what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to do my job. I'm supposed to like make the food. I'm supposed to like, if you have a family, like show up for my family. I'm supposed to clean my house. I have to run these errands. This is important. This is my life. This is what life is. It's supposed to be hard. And then you ask yourself, why am I denying myself pleasure? You're like, shit, okay, whoa, okay. And it's like this reality check because life isn't about doing things. Life is about living it and experiencing it. And why are you denying yourself pleasure from it? Another question I love to ask myself, why am I not worthy of pleasure? Why am I not worthy to slow down for a moment and drop back into my body? No, why am I not worthy of pleasure? I want you to ask yourself those questions. Maybe put them on your fridge or your whiteboard, on your phone screensaver. Like, why am I denying myself this? Why aren't I worthy of this? Of pleasure. And I want you to start to infuse pleasure into just, one thing in your day, or maybe just keep it top of mind and just be like, how could this be pleasurable? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can literally be like sit with your blanket, but like really feeling your blanket and just be like, this is so good. Or putting your favorite song and just dancing. And not just be like, I'm dancing to the song. It's like, oh, I am feeling this song and I am vibing with this song. And it can be like, if you're like, I'm just going to go have an orgasm, fantastic. That can be super pleasurable. But it may not be, right? Because we get to infuse the feeling of pleasure into whatever we want. So go have fun with pleasure. Go see how you can infuse it into things. And notice how you drop back into your body and get out of your head when you do it. And it's always available to you. Any part of the day and whatever you're doing, you can infuse pleasure. This was fun. I'm so glad I got out of my head and did this for you. If you have any questions, if you're watching the replay, drop them below. I will answer them for you. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. And you know where to find me on YouTube. But if you haven't already, grab your freebies. I have a few of them below. One, and if you're watching this live, it won't be there yet. If you're watching the replay, it will be there for you. One is, oh my God, I just blanked on that. It's a 15-minute morning routine for more clarity and focus to start your day with clarity and focus. It's my dopamine detox. And I do it every morning, 15 minutes. And even when I've tried other routines that have been really good for me, and it'll be like through a season of time, and usually they'll take me a little bit longer, I always come back to this one because it works so well. And it's just 15 minutes. And like, if you want to feel accomplished with one thing in your day, this 15-minute morning routine is all you need, I promise. So go grab that. It's linked below. It's a training video you'll get on it. And, oh yeah, I'm doing discovery sessions. That was my other thing. So all summer, I'm running 40-minute discovery sessions where we hop on a video call such as this. And you're going to come with what you're struggling with in one of the core 4 areas, the core 4 natural solutions for ADHD, which is exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress management. So what one? You get to pick. If you're like, I can't do any of them, that's cool. We're going to focus on one. And I'm going to cover what's blocking you. What is causing that struggle to be more of a struggle, like a really big struggle, because under ADHD, there's root causes. I was going to say roots, but it sounds like a tree. Root causes that are exacerbating their symptoms or making them worse, right? And we're going to start to get to the root, get clarity of like, this is what's making sleep so freaking hard for me. Okay, the underneath layer, not just ADHD, but what's underneath that. And once you have clarity, you know how to change it. So that is what we're going to focus on in the discovery session. And stay tuned because September, I got a little something special launching for you. Still in the works, but it's going to be really, really beautiful. And I can't wait for you to hear about it. And if it's maybe for you, to have you inside it. So with that, watch for a video coming this week still, depending when you're watching this, it'll be on Thursday. I was going to ask you or tell you something else, but I don't remember now. I don't know. Well, I love you so much. I'll see you next time.